Welcome to the We Are One podcast. Today we have Chris Anatra, the quantum.
They reached their timer, but I do feel that because I don't feel looking at children. I don't think you can look at a child and say that child's an NPC. Like you wouldn't be able to differentiate a playable child from a non-playable child. I think the issue comes during their lifetimes and the programming and the amount of programming that they accept and the questioning that they have and how strong that programming is. That's the cage that they build around themselves. And then their actions are going to make you feel like they're an NPC because they're unconscious. But that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, you know, that reminds me of that movie Free Guy. I don't know if you guys saw that,
Yeah.
where Guy was considered an NPC and he woke up. He was able to wake, he was able to wake up. He puts the glasses on and he's able to see what was going on around him. And yeah, that led to other NPCs waking up. And it really is, I heard somebody once tell me that if the NPCs woke up, it wouldn't be good for the system because there'd be strikes and blah, blah, blah. But wouldn't that be something if all the NPCs could be woken up? That would be amazing.
I don't know. That would be a good thing either at the same time. But going back to what you said, MJ, I don't think that classifying someone as an NPC or someone who's being unconscious, they're not awake, is necessarily the right term. So I agree with you on that aspect. As far as a divine spark, do we all have it? Is there another function that defines an NPC? For me, looking at it through manifesting and through business and through trying to get what I want accomplished. As Chris said, they have a function. I wouldn't say that a non-player character can't wake up. I would just say that the NPCs, or what I call an NPC, is someone who is not able to break free from their programming, someone who, more importantly, is controlled by whatever system has them, whether it's the media, whether it's the government, whatever that is. I don't think that they're not rendered if we don't look at them necessarily. But I do think that there are certainly aspects of them that would like run into a wall or walk off a bridge. There are some people like that. So the level of consciousness of an NPC, I think, is going to vary. And I don't think we will ever know all the answers as far as that's concerned, whether they have a God particle, whether they have a soul, whether they have other things going on that they can't break free on. But, NPC to me just means somebody that's not conscious or not able to break free of their mold.
Yeah. And for myself, like a sleeping player character, like I was for most of my life, is about the same as an NPC. So you could have considered me an NPC because I just never questioned anything. Didn't question anything at all. I just thought this is all the reality was. And then when you died, you were dead.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about that now? Do you think that there is do you believe in reincarnation?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Definitely now, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about this soul trap and run from the light kind of theories that are going around now?
Yeah. So I believe that when you
had Howdy Mukowski on your show.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic to talk about this with, although I don't agree with what he says necessarily. He's very informed as far as what he's looking at.
Yeah, I believe that when you become an awakened individual, the soul trap doesn't work for you. Like if you can awaken in this life, like when you do pass on, you'll know what to do. And if you're given a choice of choice A or choice B, don't pick either of them. Mm-hmm. Just be like, I don't want either of those choices. So yeah, and I believe that like this life that we're having now for so many people that are waking up because of all the energies coming onto the planet, etc. Like that type of a soul trap environment that used to trap so many is not going to be like it was before. That's my own personal belief about that.
So do you believe the soul trap is run by who do you believe is in charge of that soul trap, or that the end game decision?
Yeah, however you want to call the keepers of the matrix, whether you want to call them the archons or whatever that group is probably.
Do you believe they're interdimensional, or do you believe it's part of artificial intelligence X?
Ooh, it could be a little bit of both. It could be, extra or interdimensional beings that are using, artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, MJ?
Yeah. So a couple things, because from my experience, I always felt, and I couldn't put my fingers on it, that this world was just not right. It was just not balanced. Like, it doesn't make sense that we as humans, being the most intelligent species on the planet, are also the ones that are doing the most damage to the planet. Like, no other species degrades their environment the way that we do. But it's part of the system that we're in. So I just kind of questioned this system. And it feels like there's some external forces that are unnatural, whether they're, and when I say unnatural, not balanced with nature, like the majority of us are, or the majority of nature is. So it does lend an idea to it being artificial or external or alien or something of that nature. So that's definitely a possibility. I don't have any concrete proof for the case other than it's just unnatural the way that we're living. But I do have a question for you guys. Is, do you feel, so let's assume that there is a external force, a parasite, however you, because I was thinking about this as well. Like, even in nature, there are parasites. I was seeing there's actual fungus that takes over the carcasses of insects and gets them animated and things of that nature. And that's natural, right? So do you feel, if there is external forces, entities, influencing this reality, if this is a free world reality, a free will reality, do you feel that this is a natural thing? This is just part of the play? Or do you feel there's some foul play going on, that they're breaking some rules of some sort?
Go ahead, Chris. Oh, I believe there's a lot of cheating going on, so to speak. There's a lot of rule breaking going on, because some people like myself see Earth as many different things. One aspect of it is a prison planet, is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is a playground. Another aspect of it is a school. Is it a school and a playground that got taken over and turned into a prison? So that whatever, actually in a video I'm going to be releasing in a few weeks, I kind of go into this. I have to say viewer discretion is advised, but I talk about the concept of the harvest and like what that concept of the harvest is from the Book of Ra. Some people have read that book that was channeled, I think, in the 80s or the 90s.
The Law of One.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And a lot of people paint that as like a really beautiful picture of what that could be. There could be another reason for this type of like harvest. And from what I see in the Akashic records, it goes back to the time of the giant trees. And you guys may have heard of that whole concept that there were giant trees on the earth. Devil's Tower in Wyoming is an example of one of those, the stump or the base of a giant tree. And there's others like the petrified stone or petrified wood from that. So, and then those trees were like harvested to extinction. And then there was another type of harvest that would happen. And, what is that and why is that for? And is it possible if we're in a type of holographic matrix scenario, are we in a matrix within a matrix? Like, is there another matrix above us? And have some of us come down here, almost like there was a show called Prison Break or something, where a guy's brother goes into prison, so he becomes a prisoner to break his brother out. So are some of us here to help awaken people to create like a prison break scenario, so to speak? So there's all different types of ways you can look at what's going on. But to agree with MJ, like, or to further, I believe there's a lot of cheating going on, so to speak.
Yeah, I think people have figured out that they can manipulate the system, whether it's nature, whether it's NPCs, other people, awakened, whatever. I think people have realized they can cheat the system to get ahead. Chris, I like what you said about the harvesting. What is the Akashic records, or what is your theory on what is being harvested here? Because my interpretation is that pretty much all matter is energy, obviously. But I also think nature is probably the biggest fool of the matrix, meaning it's keeping us locked in here. Nature is allowing us to feel that we are kind of secondary or in the game as well. What are your thoughts about the harvest and what is being harvested?
Yeah, so this isn't, until this video comes out, this is something that I've really not talked about a lot publicly, because it could seem to be kind of dark, and I don't like to go to that level. But from what I could see, like on another level, on what you could call base reality or the matrix that's above us, and there's been soft disclosure in movies about this as well. Jupiter Ascending is one of those types of movies where you can, basically it was discovered that after all the giant trees were eliminated, there was a substance from them that would give those in the base reality or the matrix above us. It's like an ambrosia. It's like an elixir of life. It's something that's very sought after. In the new Avatar movie, for example, if you guys saw that, when they would harvest the whales, they would do something and extract a certain fluid from those whales' brains that was worth countless amounts of money, because it would bring immortal life to those that would consume it. So there's that kind of a concept related to a harvest that I don't believe is going to happen anymore. So, but I believe in the past it was something that was happening, and it had. I don't want to go into it too much, but yeah, basically there would be a way for this harvest type thing to happen, and then there'd be like an ice age, or there'd be like a pole flip, and then the system would reset itself, and then a new cycle would begin after that. So, and it had to do with humans, so to speak. But I know a lot of people look into the Law of One from the Book of Ra. They paint the harvest as like, oh, it's a beautiful thing, and certain people will be ascending and so forth, and that's beautiful. And I believe that that's actually going to be happening. Some people call it the graduation. We finally get to that point where we can bypass all of this type of stuff. So, yeah, that's my quick summarized answer of what the harvest might be from what I see in the records.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you had Howdy Mukowski on, and I think a lot of what people say about the soul trap, it does make sense. About reincarnation, coming back to the light, whatever that is. But I just can't get my head wrapped around what would be the thing they're harvesting. And I know everybody, it says energy. I'm not buying that. I don't think interdimensional beings that could materialize in a three-dimensional world would need to harvest energy. It doesn't make sense to me that they need battery energy or whatever that might be for their three-dimensional interdimensional purpose. So I'm not buying the energy thing. The harvest is something that I'm not really that familiar with. I do understand the concept in the Law of One, that the harvest is like a new beginning kind of thing, and it is allowing people to ascend consciousness. But the light matrix that is attracting souls to it to reincarnate, to use again for energy, just doesn't make sense to me. Maybe somebody out there watching this can break that down to me. I'd love to have a conversation or an explanation of why human energy would be, used like that. In your example, Chris, with the trees having the energy, I don't subscribe to the philosophy that trees are living. I think that they have energy. But in things like whales or trees or non-soul entities, that energy that they get from those ththings would be different than a human energy, just my opinion. And I don't know if that is the same thing or not the same thing, but you looked into the Akashic records for the harvest, I'm assuming. What did it say about that?
Yeah. So you feel that like trees don't have consciousness?
I don't believe they have consciousness. I don't believe that I think they're part of the matrix. I think they're part of the things that we can touch, the things that we can see. All these things are like they're trapping us into this reality, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's locking the reality in. When you meditate, your eyes are closed. If you go somewhere else, if you're dreaming, there's no physical things there. So to me, the physical things are actually going to lock you into this reality that we're in.
Yes. Yeah. I feel, and it's going to sound strange, but I feel that some of us actually become trees or grows of trees as like a first experience before coming into Earth to try to get a handle about how linear time works. So I believe that there's consciousness in trees, so and plants and animals and humans, and we're in a sea of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. I do believe that our consciousness could become a tree. I just don't believe that every tree is conscious, or that every animal is conscious, or that every seed of grass is conscious. I believe that if that's what our intention is, to create that reality, I think absolutely we could, and maybe some of us have. But I don't believe that is there are that many divine sparks that we can perceive that in our awareness, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, but it's possible some do have consciousness.
Oh, absolutely. It's possible. It could be, somebody could be in that awareness right now, as far as that's concerned. I do believe that they are living. I just think that they're part of the matrix. It's a little bit of a catch-22 with that. I think that this is a simulation, and we see physical and non-physical things appear and reappear, or, come in and out of our awareness. But in the end, we are experiencing something here that is physical. Even though we are not physical manifestations, and nature is not physical in its core.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Chris, because you mentioned something earlier about a base reality potentially being above this one. So this basically being a sub matrix of another reality. And I don't disagree with you on that. But my question is, do you feel that in this reality, we're actually in the process of creating a denser matrix? So I kind of look at it as the prisons are getting harder and harder to get out of, to where we're in the bridge to where we may have awareness of the base reality above, and we're a bridge between this denser matrix that's being created now with these new technologies that are coming online, maybe new AI, where there may be more ancient AI running the base reality above. Have you thought about that, or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think if I know what you're talking about too, is that almost like we could create our own matrices within this matrix, like the metaverse that Facebook's working on. Would you consider that a type of matrix that we've created within this matrix? And are we creating more of a I don't know. I feel like we're going in a, like the frequency is like literally, the planet's literally vibrating. You take like the Schumann resonance, all the energy coming from the sun, all the energy coming from other sources, all this cosmic radiation that's hitting us. A lot of people are getting these weird ringing in their ears, ascension, we call them ascension symptoms, body aches and stuff that just come up. Headaches that come on that's not necessarily normal. All these types of things. I almost feel too like the atmospheric pressure of the planet is changing. I feel that the magnetism, we know that the magnetism of the planet is changing. Earth's magnetic shields are weakening. So I believe like we've hit this time where everything is starting to happen to our advantage. So I believe that the propaganda from the governments and the news media are trying to keep us in a box, and they're trying to keep us confined and make the chains even tighter on us. But I believe there are all these other factors that are happening that is going to have the exact opposite effect. And I believe that people, even if they don't want to wake up, they're going to wake up one way or another. They may not like it because they may not be able to accept it at first. But I believe that we've reached like a critical mass where things are going to change to the benefit of humanity and the benefit of the earth.
Yeah, because it definitely feels, just from my observations, that there is a intent to create this system of more control, basically. And I think there's a race against creating this system and locking us down into more of this control matrix, if you will. And then those that are attempting to awaken are prison breakers, if you will. So that's a good example.
Yeah.
Cool. So I met you in Orlando in October, Chris, and I know your birthday was in December. We'll get to where you're going to go in the future. What are some of the things that you're looking at, or what did you see when you were in Mount Shasta when you went out there for your birthday? What were you looking for, and what did you find?
Yeah, so I had some goals. One of the goals, well, I always want to go to a place I've never been before, and my higher self will direct me, or I call it my higher self, is really me, directs me to where I should go. And this year it was in Mount Shasta, California, and I've heard people talk about a civilization, an inner Earth civilization called Telos. And that was something that was mentioned at that Galactic Spiritual Informers conference. There was somebody there that had said they had gone to Mount Shasta and gone to Telos. And I feel like I have connections to Telos at Mount Shasta. So I wanted to make like a connection as far as that goes. Also, to Mount Shasta it's a very magical mountain. There's a lot of things going on. And I didn't realize how good Mount Shasta was with business. So I call it this concept of trading. So, I say the universe is based off commerce, like the universe is based off of trading types of things. So I believe that when I went there, what my goal was to trade abilities with the mountain, with Telos, with whoever else, was there. And I just had sometimes you kind of have an idea of what's going to happen, and then you go someplace and it exceeds your expectations. And that's one of the things that was exceeding my expectations with Mount Shasta, related to time. Like, time was like a really big issue.
Time slowed down for you, or time dimensionally you were transferring over?
Timelines actually changed before our eyes. So, there was 4 in total eventually, but there was 3 of us that were there experiencing timeline changes happening on the fly, so to speak. So, like, an example that I had mentioned before, but basically I'll say it again, was that there was one of the days, it was actually New Year's Eve, December 31st. We decided to climb as high up Mount Shasta as we could. It's a 14,000 foot mountain. We got to about 7,777 feet, and it was just too much snow. We couldn't go any further. But when we started our ascent up, what was happening, there was this group of people that were coming down, and a very unique looking group of people. One was very tall. He had dark hair. He looked, I felt that the message was that the timelines were changing. So we were now